Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be tackling machine learning in finance.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty complex stuff, but we've got some great articles to guide us.
I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. They cover everything.
Yeah.
From the basics of how machine learning actually works to how it's being used right now in finance and even potential career paths in this whole field. It's pretty cool.
It is a rapidly growing field for sure.
It's not just Wall Street though, right?
Yeah, not all.
I was reading that it's impacting how individuals manage their money too.
Absolutely.
Which is really interesting, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the articles even talked about using machine learning to analyze satellite images
Oh, wow.
of shopping malls
Interesting.
to predict sales and stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it.
I mean, who would have thought that, looking at parking lots from space could tell you about the economy?
It's all about patterns, right?
Yeah.
These algorithms can spot things in massive data sets that we as humans would probably miss.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Like in those satellite images, they can count the cars and then predict how a retail company is going to do even before the official numbers are out.
So we're not just stuck with those traditional financial reports anymore.
Exactly.
We've got all this new data coming in that can help us understand what's really going on.
Real-time insights.
Okay, so we've talked about the cool stuff now. Let's back up a bit.
Sure.
What exactly is machine learning?
Well, at its core,
Yeah.
it's about teaching computers to learn from data.
Okay, so how we learn from experience.
Yeah, kind of. But computers can do it way faster.
Right, because they can process so much information.
Exactly. And they can see these complex relationships that we might miss.
So when we apply that to finance, that's
Yeah.
where things get interesting.
It's a game changer for sure.
Instead of relying on gut feelings or those old models,
Yeah.
we can use this data to make smarter decisions.
About investments, about risk, even about fraud.
Yeah, I was reading a lot about the importance of data.
It's crucial.
It's like the fuel for these machine learning models.
You can't do anything without good data.
But it's not just any data, right?
No, you have to prepare it.
It's got to be good quality.
Like prepping ingredients for a gourmet meal.
You don't just throw everything in the pot.
Exactly. You have to clean it, format, you make sure it's all consistent.
So there's a whole process before you even start training the algorithm.
Oh, yeah. That's data pre-processing.
And then there's something called exploratory data analysis, right?
Yeah, that's where you use visualizations and statistics to understand the data better.
To see if there are any patterns or trends.
Exactly. It helps you get a feel for what you're working with.
Okay, so once you've got your data all prepped and ready to go,
Then the fun begins.
then you get to the actual machine learning part.
Right. And there are different types of learning that we can use.
Yeah, the articles talked about three main ones.
Supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning.
Let's start with supervised learning.
Okay.
Because that seems like the most straightforward one.
It is in a way.
It's like giving the computer labeled examples, right?
Yes, like flashcards for algorithms.
So you're telling it what the input is and what the output should be.
Exactly.
And it learns from those examples to make predictions on new data.
Like with stock prices, you could give it historical data,
Yeah.
along with information about whether the market went up or down the next day.
And then it figures out the pattern.
Exactly. It learns to predict future market movements based on what it's seen in the past.
Pretty cool.
One of the key uses for supervised learning in finance is credit risk assessment.
Okay, so instead of just looking at someone's credit score,
Right.
you can use algorithms to analyze all sorts of other data.
Their online spending habits, their social media activity, even psychometric data,
To get a more complete picture of their financial behavior.
and make a more accurate prediction about their risk.
It makes sense. I mean, we leave so much data behind these days.
It's all there for the algorithms to analyze.
Okay, but what about unsupervised learning?
Ah, that's a different beast altogether.
How so?
Well, with unsupervised learning, you don't give the algorithm any labels.
So no flashcards this time.
No, it's more like giving a detective a pile of clues, but no suspect.
So the algorithm has to figure out the mystery on its own.
Exactly. It has to find the patterns and connections in the data without any guidance.
Sounds challenging.
It can be, but it's also very powerful.
In what way?
Well, one of the most useful applications in finance is anomaly detection.
Anomaly detection.
Like imagine a system that's constantly analyzing millions of transactions, looking for anything unusual that deviates from the norm.
Oh, so it could help prevent fraud.
Exactly, or it could spot early warning signs of a market disruption.
Like a watchdog for the financial system.
That's a good analogy.
So it's not just about preventing bad things, it can also help us find opportunities.
Right. For example, unsupervised learning can be used to segment customers.
Okay.
Based on their financial behavior.
So you can tailor products and services to specific groups.
Exactly. Instead of treating everyone the same, you can personalize the experience.
That's smart.
And then there's reinforcement learning.
This one sounds interesting.
It's all about trial and error.
Like training a pet with rewards and punishments?
Sort of.
Okay, so how does it work?
Well, imagine a trading algorithm.
Okay.
It starts by making random trades.
And then?
If it makes a profit, it gets rewarded.
So it learns to do more of that.
Exactly. And if it loses money, it gets penalized.
So it learns to avoid those actions.
Through this feedback loop, it gradually develops a strategy that maximizes its returns.
So it's constantly learning and adapting.
Yes. That's the beauty of reinforcement learning.
It can handle changing market conditions.
Which is why it's becoming popular in areas like algorithmic trading.
So we've got these different types of learning, and they all have their own strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. You have to choose the right tool for the job.
Okay, but let's say someone's listening to this and they're thinking, wow, this is fascinating. I want to learn more.
Good for them.
Is there like a specific path they can take to get into this field?
Actually, one of the articles laid out a pretty clear roadmap.
Perfect. I think we can dive into that in our next segment.
Sounds good.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've got a basic understanding of what machine learning is.
And how it's being used in finance.
But this is just the beginning.
There's so much more to explore.
In the next segment, we'll talk about some even more advanced applications.
Like alternative data sources.
Yeah, things like satellite imagery and social media sentiment.
It's gonna get really interesting.
I can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive.
We're ready to go deeper.
We've laid a good foundation, you know?
Yeah, the basics are covered.
So now let's explore some cutting-edge applications.
The really cool stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that's like pushing the boundaries.
This is where it gets exciting.
One area that I found really interesting was alternative data sources.
Oh yeah, that's a hot topic.
Traditionally, financial analysis has focused on, structured data like stock prices and trading volumes.
The classic stuff.
But machine learning is opening up a whole new world.
Unstructured data.
That's right.
Stuff that was like too messy to deal with before.
So we're talking about
things like social media.
Oh, wow.
Satellite imagery, weather patterns.
Data points that wouldn't normally be considered financial data.
Exactly.
But now
we can use it
to gain insights into markets, consumer behavior, even company operations.
The possibilities are endless.
I was reading about hedge funds.
Yeah.
Using satellite images to monitor foot traffic at retail stores.
It's amazing what you can do with that data.
They can gauge consumer demand.
And potentially predict sales.
Before the official numbers are even out.
Giving them an edge.
It's like having a bird's eye view of the economy.
See what's happening in real time.
But how do you even make sense of all this data?
It's a lot to process.
It seems so unstructured and diverse.
That's where machine learning shines.
These algorithms can sift through it all.
Text images, sensor data.
Finding those hidden patterns and correlations.
The stuff we would miss.
Take social media sentiment analysis, for example.
Ah, yes, a powerful tool.
They're analyzing millions of tweets and posts and comments
to gauge public opinion
about a company or a product.
And then use that to predict changes in behavior,
which could ultimately impact stock prices.
It's like tapping into the collective wisdom of the crowd.
Filtering out the noise.
And extracting the signal.
It's almost like a crystal ball.
In a way.
Yeah. Telling you what people are thinking and feeling.
It's pretty incredible.
And that's just one example.
Right.
There's so much more.
Companies are using weather data to predict crop yields.
Wow.
Geolocation data to analyze foot traffic patterns.
To optimize store locations.
Exactly.
And even satellite imagery to assess environmental impact.
The world is becoming one giant financial data set.
And machine learning is the key to unlocking it.
It's a paradigm shift.
I have to admit, it's a little bit daunting.
It's a lot to take in.
But it's also incredibly exciting.
It's a whole new way of thinking about finance.
And it's not just about institutional investors, right?
No, not at all.
This is impacting personal finance too.
In a big way.
We talked about robo-advisors earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about how machine learning is changing the way individuals manage their money.
Well, budgeting and expense tracking is one area.
Okay.
There are apps now that use algorithms to analyze your spending habits.
So they categorize your transactions.
And they can even identify areas where you could save.
It's like having a personal finance assistant.
Who knows your spending patterns better than you do?
They can warn you if you're about to overspend.
Or suggest ways to optimize your budget.
Based on your goals.
Exactly.
And these apps are getting more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah.
They can automate bill payments,
Provide personalized advice,
even make investment recommendations.
tailored to your risk tolerance.
It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket.
Available 24/7.
So it's not just about tracking expenses, it's about making smarter decisions.
Based on data-driven insights.
It's empowering individuals to take control of their finances.
And achieve their goals.
It's an exciting time to be involved in personal finance.
It really is.
But I think it's important to acknowledge the potential downsides too.
Of course.
There are concerns about data privacy,
Absolutely.
algorithmic bias,
We have to be careful.
and the possibility that these technologies could worsen existing inequalities.
These are serious issues.
We need to be mindful of them.
We have to develop these technologies responsibly.
Ensuring transparency, fairness, accountability.
Those are key principles.
We need to be aware of the potential for bias in algorithms.
Especially in sensitive areas like credit scoring.
It's a reminder that machine learning is a powerful tool.
But it's not a magic bullet.
It can be misused.
Or have unintended consequences.
We need to approach it with a critical eye,
And ensure that it benefits society as a whole.
not just a select few.
That's the challenge.
It requires collaboration
Between policymakers, industry leaders, researchers.
to establish ethical guidelines and regulations.
That keep pace with the technology.
It's an ongoing conversation.
And an important one.
Well said. I think this is a good point to transition to the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah, let's shift our focus to the future.
We've explored the applications of machine learning in finance.
Both institutional and individual.
Now let's talk about the long-term implications of this technology.
The big picture.
Welcome back to our final part.
The grand finale.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, from the basics to the cutting edge.
We've seen how algorithms learn, how they're using all sorts of data.
Even how it's impacting our own finances.
But now I want to step back
Yeah, zoom out a bit.
and think about the bigger picture.
The future of machine learning in finance.
What's it going to look like?
That's the million-dollar question.
What are the long-term implications?
For the industry and for individuals.
It's a question that's on a lot of people's mind.
There's a lot of debate about it.
Some experts believe that machine learning is going to completely reshape finance.
Automating jobs, creating new ones.
Others think that human expertise will still be essential.
Especially for things like risk management and strategy.
So it's not necessarily about replacing humans.
More like augmenting them.
Using machine learning to handle the routine tasks.
And provide those data-driven insights.
Freeing up humans to focus on the more complex stuff.
The big picture thinking.
I think one of the most promising aspects of machine learning is its potential to democratize finance.
Make it more accessible.
We talked about robo-advisors.
Yeah, they're already making investing more affordable.
But imagine a future where algorithms can analyze your entire financial situation,
Give you personalized advice.
help you negotiate better deals on loans or insurance.
It's like having a team of financial experts at your disposal.
But of course, with great power comes great responsibility.
We have to be careful.
We've talked about the potential for bias in algorithms.
And the need for transparency and accountability.
So what's being done to ensure that machine learning is used ethically in finance?
That's a top priority for regulators around the world.
They're working on frameworks to balance innovation with consumer protection,
There's a lot of focus on explainable AI,
making those algorithms more transparent.
so we can understand how they're making decisions.
And there's also a push for algorithmic auditing.
Independent assessments to identify potential biases,
So it's all about making sure that these tools are used for good.
that they benefit society as a whole,
It's going to require collaboration.
between everyone involved.
Policymakers, industry leaders, researchers, to create ethical guidelines and regulations that can keep up with the technology.
It's a continuous process.
But I think it's an important one.
Absolutely.
We've seen throughout this deep dive how machine learning is already transforming finance.
From trading to personal finance.
And while there are risks,
There's no doubt about that.
the potential benefits are huge.
It's an exciting time to be in this field.
We're still in the early stages.
There's so much more to discover.
So many possibilities.
It's going to be a wild ride.
I want to leave our listeners with a sense of curiosity and cautious optimism.
It's a powerful technology,
It has the potential to revolutionize finance.
but we have to use it responsibly.
Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay curious.
The future of finance is being shaped by data and algorithms.
Those who are willing to learn and adapt will thrive.
Absolutely.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into machine learning in finance.
I hope you enjoyed it.
We covered a lot of ground.
But there's always more to learn.
The world of finance is constantly evolving.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure.